Welcome, I'm Matthew Phelps, co-author of the Turning to God's Word Bible Study, In the Beginning, the Book of Genesis. Today we'll be talking about Lesson 25 of that study, Joseph's Brothers Traveled to Egypt, which covers the book of Genesis, chapters 42 and 43. When Jacob learned that there was grain in Egypt, he said to his sons, "Why do you look at one another?" And he said, "Behold, I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down and buy grain for us there, that we may live and not die." So 10 of Joseph's brothers went down to buy grain in Egypt. But Jacob did not send Benjamin, Joseph's brother, with his brothers, for he feared that harm might befall him. Thus the sons of Israel came to buy among the others who came, for the famine was in the land of Canaan. So, they're getting hungry up in Canaan, and Jacob says to his sons, "Why are you just standing around? Go get us some food from Egypt." And he sends 10 of Joseph's brothers to Egypt. He does not send Benjamin. Why is that? If you remember some of the genealogy here, and remember Jacob had sons by 4 different women. And the wife that he loved, Rachel, Joseph's mother, also had one other son, and that son was Benjamin. So he has one son left because he thinks Joseph is dead from his beloved wife, and that son is Benjamin. So Benjamin's also the youngest, has a special place in his heart. So he's not letting Benjamin go, but the other 10 can go get some food. Now Joseph was governor over the land. He it was who sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed themselves before him with their faces to the ground. Joseph saw his brothers and knew them, but he treated them like strangers and spoke roughly to them. "Where do you come from?" he said. They said, "From the land of Canaan to buy food." Thus Joseph knew his brothers, but they did not know him. When Joseph remembered the dreams which he had dreamed of them, and he said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see the weakness of the land." They said to him, "No, my lord, but to buy food have your servants come." "We are all sons of one man. We are honest men. Your servants are not spies." He said to them, "No, it is the weakness of the land that you have come to see." And they said, "We, your servants, are 12 brothers, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is this day with our father, and one is no more." But Joseph said to them, "It is as I said to you, you are spies. By this you shall be tested. By the life of Pharaoh you shall not go from this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you and let him bring your brother, while you remain in prison, that your words may be tested, whether there is truth in you. Or else, by the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies." And he put them all together in prison for 3 days. So Joseph gets to have a little bit of fun now with his brothers who sold him into slavery. They come wanting food. I expect he doesn't know exactly what he's going to do about this yet. He definitely remembers the dream that he had and says, "Oh, yep, that's what I thought." So there's that much. But beyond that, what do you do in that situation? Can you trust them? Do you care? Are you going to bother trying to reconnect with your family when things are going so well in Egypt? He's got a lot to deal with and to try to figure out, and it would be fairly unexpected. So he needs some time, at the very least. So he comes up with this accusation that they're spies, and decides he's going to throw them in jail for a while. What he's ultimately asking for is also to bring Benjamin there. Remember, Benjamin and Joseph would be full brothers, and the others would be half brothers. So probably Joseph has a closer place in his heart for Benjamin than the others as well, and there's no strong implication that Benjamin would have been involved in the whole goings down, although he certainly could have been. But Joseph wants to see Benjamin, at the very least, and get him there. And so he says, "You're going to stay in jail, all of you, until one of you goes and gets him to prove you're not spies." And then he puts all of them in jail for 3 days. On the 3rd day, Joseph said to them, "Do this and you will live, for I fear God. If you are honest men, let one of your brothers remain confined in your prison, and let the rest go and carry grain for the famine of your households, and bring your youngest brother to me. So your words will be verified, and you shall not die." And they did so. Then they said to one another, "In truth, we are guilty concerning our brother, when that we saw the distress of his soul when he begged us, and we would not listen. Therefore is this distress come upon us." And Reuben answered them, "Did I not tell you not to sin against the lad? But you would not listen. So now there comes a reckoning for his blood." They did not know that Joseph understood them, for there was an interpreter between them. Then he turned away from them and wept, and he returned to them and spoke to them. And he took Simeon from them and bound him before their eyes. When Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain, and to replace every man's money in his sack, and to give them provisions for the journey, this was done for them. So after 3 days rotting in jail, Joseph pulls him out and says, "Changed my mind. All of you but one can go back. And you can take food, and then you can come back and get that one when you bring your youngest brother Benjamin to me as well." And then they have a discussion. So Joseph, being in Egypt, is presenting himself as an Egyptian, and they speak a different language. So this whole time he has been speaking to them through an interpreter, so they don't know that he can understand what they're saying to one another. So they have a conversation as this is all going down, and they conclude that they deserve this because of what they did to Joseph. And especially Reuben is really saying, "Yeah, I told you guys not to do that." They describe the scene a little more, and you can imagine that this would have happened of Joseph begging his brothers to let him out, and them turning a deaf ear. And they all agree pretty much that they deserve this, but still don't want it to happen. And Joseph picks a brother, Simeon, who was definitely one of the ringleaders in what happened to him, and ties him up and puts him in jail, and lets the others go. And then with the others, he doesn't take their money. He gives them all food and gives them back their money, and sends them on their way. Then they loaded their donkeys with their grain and departed. And as one of them opened his sack to give his donkey food at the lodging place, he saw his money in the mouth of his sack, and he said to his brothers, "My money has been put back. Here it is in the mouth of my sack." At this their hearts failed them, and they turned trembling to one another, saying, "What is this that God has done to us?" When they came to Jacob their father in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had befallen them, saying, "The man, the Lord of the land, spoke roughly to us and took us to be spies of the land. But we said to him, 'We are honest men, we are not spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of our father. One is no more, and the youngest is this day with our father in the land of Canaan.' Then the man, the Lord of the land, said to us, 'By this I shall know that you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers with me, and take grain for the famine of your households, and go your way. Bring your youngest brother to me. Then I shall know that you are not spies, but honest men, and I will deliver to you your brother, and you shall trade in the land.' As they emptied their sacks, behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when they and their father saw the bundle of money, they were dismayed. And Jacob their father said to them, 'You have bereaved me of my children. Joseph is no more, and Simeon is no more. And now you would take Benjamin. All this has come upon me.' Then Reuben said to his father, 'Slay my 2 sons if I do not bring him back to you. Put him in my hands, and I will bring him back to you.' But he said, 'My son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he only is left. If harm should befall him on the journey that you are to make, you would bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to Sheol.'" So the brothers are leaving. They see the money in their sack, and they are greatly perplexed by that, because they used it to buy grain. And they get back, and they explain everything to Jacob, and they explain the situation. Here we are. We have this food. He wants us to go back, and we had to leave Simeon. And we need to take Benjamin back to Egypt with us. And Jacob basically says, over my dead body are you taking Benjamin to Egypt? Because I will die if you take him with me. I will go down to Sheol. So Jacob is not in favor of that plan, and he's blaming them for losing another one of his sons. And he doesn't know yet, of course, but it's clearly there, the extent to which they did lose one of his earlier sons as well. So they're stuck, and it sounds like they're not going back to Egypt anytime soon. Now the famine was severe in the land, and when they had eaten the grain which they had brought from Egypt, their father said to them, "Go again, buy us a little food." But Judah said to him, "The man solemnly warned us, saying, 'You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. If you will send our brother with us, we will go down to buy you food. But if you will not send him, we will not go down. For the man said to us, You shall not see my face unless your brother is with you.' Israel said, 'Why did you treat me so ill as to tell the man that you had another brother?' They replied, 'The man questioned us carefully about ourselves and our kindred, saying, Is your father still alive? Have you another brother?' What we told him was in answer to these questions. Could we in any way know that he would say, bring your brother down? And Judah said to Israel his father, 'Send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die, both we and you and also our little ones. I will be surety for him. Of my hand you shall require him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. For if we had not delayed, we would now have returned twice.'" So at different times, two different sons here offer different assurances to Jacob that they're going to bring back Benjamin. Reuben says, if I don't bring him back, you can kill my sons. And he's not willing. Then Judah, admittedly, the circumstances change in between, right? Because they run out of food and get hungry again. And then Judah says, no, I myself will be surety for him. I'll guarantee it. And you can do whatever you want with me if I don't bring him back. But let me take him and go get food. Your dallying around, Dad, is costing us lots of time. We could have been there and back twice by now if you'd have just let us take Benjamin. Then their father Israel said to them, "If it must be so, then do this. Take some of the choice fruits of the land in your bags and carry down to the man a present, a little balm and a little honey, gum, myrrh, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Take double the money with you. Carry back with you the money that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. Perhaps it was an oversight. Take also your brother and arise. Go again to the man. May God Almighty grant you mercy before the man, that he may send back your other brother and Benjamin. If I am bereaved of my children, I am bereaved." So the men took the present, and they took double the money with them, and Benjamin, and they arose and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. So ultimately, Jacob relents and sends them back to Egypt with Benjamin. He's also trying as hard as he can to get on the good side of the Egyptians and to not make any missteps. So he sends what offerings from the land of Canaan they have that he can as presents. And because they never did explain why or figure out why they had their money after all, he sends them with the money that they had sent back with them and more besides to buy food so that they can make that right in case there was any confusion there. And away to Egypt they go again. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to the steward of his house, "Bring the men into the house and slaughter an animal and make ready, for the men are to dine with me at noon." The man did as Joseph bade him and brought the men to Joseph's house. And the men were afraid because they were brought to Joseph's house, and they said, "It is because of the money which was replaced in our sacks the first time that we are brought in, so that he may seek occasion against us and fall upon us to make slaves of us and seize our donkeys." So they went up to the steward of Joseph's house and spoke with him at the door of the house and said, "Oh, my lord, we came down the first time to buy food, and when we came to the lodging place we opened our sacks, and there was every man's money in the mouth of his sack, our money in full weight. So we have brought it again with us, and we have brought other money down in our hands to buy food. "We do not know who put our money in our sacks." He replied, "Rest assured, do not be afraid. Your God and the God of your father must have put treasure in your sacks for you. I received your money." Then he brought Simeon out to them, and when the man had brought the men into Joseph's house and given them water, when they had washed their feet, and when he had given their donkeys food, they made ready the present for Joseph's coming at noon, for they heard that they should eat bread there. So the brothers get invited to Joseph's house upon their return for a meal, and they are probably rightly pretty nervous, since the last time they were there, one of the brothers got thrown in jail. And they still haven't puzzled out this whole "why is our money here" thing yet, and that's bothering them a lot. It did not bother them enough to go back and give it back. They seemed fine with that, but now that they have to go back, now it's an issue. So now they're saying, we came back and you might have noticed that we didn't pay you last time, and we brought that, and we brought more money to pay you this time. So it'll all be good. And the steward, almost certainly on instructions from Joseph, says, "Oh no, we got your money. This must have been put there by your God and the God of your father." And so that seems to make them less nervous, and they decide to go into the house after all. Not that they have a lot of choice. And Simeon's brought out to them, and everybody's together. Now they're waiting for Joseph to show up for the meal. When Joseph came home, they brought into the house to him the present which they had with them, and bowed down to him to the ground. And he inquired about their welfare, and said, "Is your father well, the old man of whom you spoke? Is he still alive?" They said, "Your servant our father is well. He is still alive." And they bowed their heads and made obeisance. And he lifted up his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and said, "Is this your youngest brother of whom you spoke to me? God be gracious to you, my son." Then Joseph made haste, for his heart yearned for his brother, and he sought a place to weep. And he entered his chamber and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out, and controlling himself, he said, "Let food be served." They served him by himself, and them by themselves, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. And they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked at one another in amazement. Portions were taken to them from Joseph's table, but Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs. So they drank and were merry with him. So now it's mealtime, and Joseph gets to see Benjamin again for the first time after a long time, and inquires about the health of his father. Because he and his father never had a bad relationship, and I'm sure he misses his dad. And seeing Benjamin makes him happy and very moved as well. Here you still have to wonder, especially if you have the benefit of not knowing how this story ends yet, what is Joseph going to do? This seems odd. So he meets his brothers after a long time, and he puts one in prison and sends them away. And he wants to see Benjamin. So now Benjamin is here, as are all of his other brothers. What is he going to do? Has he been plotting revenge since the first time he saw them? They were a little nervous because they thought he might try to kill them. And they didn't even know who he was or that he had cause. And if they had known that, they probably would have been doubly or triply nervous. He seems to want to see Benjamin and actually want to talk to him. So maybe he's going to try to abduct Benjamin to Egypt. Or what is he going to do? What is his end game? Is a thing that is worth thinking about. He clearly knows. And of course, if you've seen the musical or read the story before, you know as well. But it helps to see kind of the moving parts of how all of this is working and what's coming together. If you think about it from kind of a real-time perspective of what on earth is Joseph thinking? What is Joseph doing? Why is he doing it that way? Because it all makes a lot of sense. But it's easy to just jump to the end and not think about how we're getting there. So, here we are. Noon meal. Benjamin gets 5 times the portion of everybody else. Joseph is eating sort of with, but sort of away from his brothers. in sort of a weird arrangement because Joseph can't eat with the Egyptians any more than his brothers can, but he also won't eat with his brothers because they think he's an Egyptian. So we have sort of weird logistics of our noon meal here, but it's all working okay, and people are they're being served from his table, and Benjamin gets 5 times what everybody else does, which suggests Joseph is happy to see his brother Benjamin. That and the fact that he was so moved he had to run away and weep when he saw him. He doesn't seem that interested yet in telling his brothers who he is, or he wouldn't be hiding that. This has been an overview of Lesson 25 of the Turning to God's Word Bible Study, In the Beginning, the Book of Genesis. For more information, consult our written study or visit us online at turningtogodsword.com.
Excellent, excellent. 25.